Hey guys, this is Hero, and today I'm going to be discussing the very important transit of Jupiter into Aquarius, okay? So I'll just go ahead and get started. So, one thing to notice here is that Jupiter is in Aquarius, which Aquarius is Saturn's own sign, and Saturn happens to be in Capricorn, which is also Saturn's own sign. So, what does that tell us? Both Saturn and Jupiter are in Saturn's signs. So, Saturn here kind of becomes like the big boss. Okay, you can kind of look at it as like Saturn is the president and Jupiter is the vice president in this situation. Or Saturn and Jupiter are both living in different rooms in an apartment, but the whole apartment is owned by Saturn. Okay, so Saturn here has a very big influence on what Jupiter is doing now, or what the results Jupiter gives. Now, what does Saturn represent in Capricorn? So Saturn or Capricorn represents basically our actions are discipline, okay? Saturn represents our actions, Jupiter represents our wisdom, okay? We ideally want both. We want our wisdom and action. We don't want wisdom without action, and we don't want action without wisdom, okay? That's why Jupiter and Saturn's transits are the most important in general every time they occur, okay? Like, even if you don't look at all the other transits because it's just too much, just I would focus on those two, and you can probably make a really big change in your life just based off of how to utilize those two transits alone, okay? Saturn and Capricorn, it represents basically discipline action, okay? Jupiter in Aquarius represents expanded awareness related to your karma with others, okay? So the whole thing kind of represents, okay, how are the actions that I'm doing affect my karma related with others, okay? And I'm gonna kind of give a little bit of like an analogy, or kind of walk you through on a better way of how I can make this make sense to you guys. So, as you guys may have noticed, Saturn entered Capricorn at the beginning of 2020. Now, the beginning of 2020, obviously the whole world changed at that time, right? But one thing you could say from an astrological standpoint is that everyone became a lot more disciplined in their actions, which is true. Now, at the beginning of 2020, Jupiter was in Sagittarius, which is its own sign, and it's in the sign of like higher morals, philosophies, searching for the truth, blah blah blah. So at the beginning of 2020, especially when things got shaken up in the world, everyone was disciplined as far as what they were doing, and because Jupiter was in Sagittarius, everyone's illusion kind of broke down. Okay, everyone was forced to search for, what's the meaning of all this, okay? And a lot of people, they struggled with that, but these are two very powerful planets in their own signs, okay? Especially Jupiter in its own Muttakon. So that's what happened. Now, when Jupiter went into Capricorn with Saturn, the awareness was basically just fully shifted to discipline, okay? So it's like everyone was just trying to kind of do what they had to do to get back on their feet, okay? Now, when Jupiter goes into Aquarius, it's like, yeah, that discipline from Saturn is still there as far as action-wise, and Jupiter is still in Saturn's sign, but it gets out of debility and out of being conjunct Saturn into Aquarius. So we're going to be more aware of how, okay, our actions are affecting, our karma related with other people, okay? And this is a great time to set the groundwork to truly fulfill our karma when Saturn goes into Aquarius and Jupiter goes into Pisces, right? Why? Because when Jupiter goes into Pisces, our awareness basically knows how to detach from everything. And when Saturn goes into Aquarius, it knows how to fulfill all the karmas we need to related to other people, okay? So that's a great time to basically just, really burn off our karmas and really, kind of advance towards, enlightenment, okay? However, right now, like I said, it's a great time to lay down the foundation for that, okay? Because when that happens, it'll be very powerful. Saturn's going into its Muttargon, and Jupiter's going into its own, the last sign of the zodiac, which is Pisces, okay? So right now, like I said, Saturn in Capricorn and Jupiter in Aquarius, it's showing how our discipline habits, or our habits in general, or the things that we're disciplined to or attached to, how they're affecting karma, how they're affecting our karma related to other people, okay? Now, what is this a good time to do? This is a good time to basically, when Jupiter was in Capricorn, we were doing a lot of things for ourselves. When Jupiter's in Aquarius, this is a great time to do things for ourselves, but that also affect other people as well. Like the mindset should be, okay, how are they affecting other people as well? And especially because Rahu has a ninth aspect on Saturn itself. So Rahu's going to kind of want a little bit out of this as well. But Jupiter's in Aquarius. This is a great time to kind of make positive changes that affect ourselves as well as others. Okay, so what do I mean by that? This is a great time to kind of eat healthier. Why would you say eat healthier? You'd think, okay, that only affects us. Well, no, that's wrong, because our actions and our energies always influence other people. Okay, so before, like in the past year, we would mostly want to just do things just for ourselves. However, now we're going to do things basically, let's just say you lost a whole bunch of weight. Maybe you interacting with others, that could inspire them to lose some weight too, okay? You eating healthier foods, that's gonna mean that you have more of a positive energy, more of that radiant energy, desired energy. Other people are gonna, maybe be inspired at a subconscious level to kind of attain that level of energy as well. And, you'll rub off on them positively. That's what I'm saying. This is a great time, not only eat well, but also, do sports, right? Because, or work out, because when you do that, you're more confident within yourself. And when other people can see that, one, your relationship with those people will improve because you're more confident, and what you put out is what you end up getting back. Okay, that's just how this works. So they will automatically move towards more of a confident vibration as well. Also, two, let's just say playing sports, you can use your disciplined actions to kind of inspire others when you're doing stuff, right? Or when you're working out. Let's just say you have a workout partner, or you have people that ask you about workout advice. You're now focused on the awareness has kind of shifted to inspiring them as well. Okay, and you'll notice this too. Okay, because Jupiter is there. When Jupiter is there, it's very hard to miss. Okay. So do things for yourself, but that will have an impact on other people as well. Okay, so keep doing your meditation. When you're meditating, for example, you're in a much more calm place. You'll notice other people will also naturally, because of the law of attraction and stuff, they'll naturally kind of gravitate more towards, oh, how can I, have that more of that peaceful mindset, that calm mindset. Okay, do things for yourself, but that that will positively make a change for others, okay? And that will set the groundwork for when Saturn goes to Aquarius and Jupiter goes to Pisces. You'll really know how to do stuff for others fully and be fully detached from the outcome, okay? So that's that. That was the general static piece of this transit, and probably the most important piece. However, a point I want to make is that there are 4 out of the 5 other planets, Mars, Mercury, Sun, and Venus, okay? Moon, it's moving signs every 2 days. I'm kind of going to leave that out. But those 4 planets, Mars, Sun, Mercury, and Venus, they transit Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, okay? During this whole transit, okay? When Jupiter's in Aquarius, those 4 planets are transiting those 4 signs, except Mars and Venus. They don't quite make it to Pisces, right? But why are these 4 signs important? Well, because Pisces and Sagittarius is Jupiter's own sign, and Jupiter gives results of its own sign as well. So whenever a planet is transiting Pisces or Sagittarius, it's going to impact the Jupiter in Aquarius as well. Also, when the planets transit Aquarius, it's going to impact Jupiter because it's going to be conjunct Jupiter. And when planets transit through Capricorn, that's where Jupiter's sign lord is, and that's Jupiter's sign lord's own sign as well. So, and these 4 signs just all happen to be in a row. So when these 4 planets transit these 4 signs, you're gonna notice the transits a lot more profound. Okay, it's not like I'm not gonna go through all of them one by one. It's gonna take way too long. I actually wrote down all the transit dates, and I was gonna speak about them, but it's just gonna take way too long. There's 21 different combinations that I can speak about, and it's just way too much. But you're going to notice that when these transits do happen, and maybe I'll make other videos on just these transits themselves, when these transits do happen, you'll notice them a lot more, okay? It's not like these 4 planets are transiting Cancer, Leo, Virgo, and Libra. Okay, it would be less profound in that way because those 4 signs have less of an impact on this transit of Jupiter being in Aquarius with Saturn being in Capricorn. Okay, but one thing I will touch on here is the Mars transit. Why? Because Mars, out of these 4, is the most profound for this Jupiter in Aquarius. Why? Because Mars actually starts out in Scorpio. Okay, so the rest of them, either Sun, Venus, Mercury, they either start out in Sagittarius or they get to Sagittarius within a month of this transit starting. So basically, it's affecting Jupiter. But Mars starts out, or a couple weeks after the Jupiter goes in Aquarius, Mars goes into Scorpio, actually, not Sagittarius. But Scorpio also, when Mars is in Scorpio, it also affects Jupiter in Aquarius. Why? Because when Jupiter is in Aquarius, it's 4 signs from Scorpio. And if Mars is in Scorpio, as we know, Mars throws an aspect onto the 4th sign from itself, which is Jupiter in Aquarius. So you'll notice right off the jump that when Mars goes into Scorpio, that Jupiter in Aquarius, like I said, it relates to your expanded awareness when it comes to others, right? So when Mars is in Scorpio and it aspects that Jupiter, you'll be a lot more intuitive on how that awareness is expanding. Okay, now whether you like that or not, that's dependent on your own chart and everything that's going on in your life. But you will get into more intuition. Now, some people don't like intuition, right? They just want to distract themselves and all this kind of stuff. They don't want to be aware. Unfortunately, Mars and Scorpio throwing that 4th aspect onto Jupiter and Aquarius, it's gonna shine some stuff to light as far as your karma related to other people. Okay, and so now that I think about it, Mars before December 5th, it's in Libra and it throws a 4th aspect onto Capricorn. So for the first 2 weeks, you could be very you'll be more kind of intuitive on more the discipline side of your habits, and how versus when Mars goes to Scorpio, you'll see more on how your awareness is expanding. Okay, because like I said, they both go hand in hand when it comes to this transit, because both Saturn and Jupiter are both very involved. Okay, now when Mars goes to Sagittarius, this is also very big because one, Mars is in Jupiter's own side of Sagittarius, and the 4th aspect from Sagittarius is Pisces, which is Jupiter's other sign. So Mars is very, very impactful here on Jupiter as well, because it's in one of its signs and it aspects the other one fully. So what this means is that all your spiritual demons, you can say, are fully exposed. Okay, they what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do is fully out there. Okay, you're not able to hold it back anymore. Now, what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do is not necessarily what you need to do and what you're not need to do. But I will leave that up to you. Okay, this is a great time to kind of overcome and meditate and kind of move beyond the things that you're willing to do and go more towards the things that you need to do from a spiritual perspective, right? Because Mars, it owns Scorpio, it governs intuition, it governs change, it owns Aries. When it goes into Sagittarius and it aspects Pisces, it's a great time to kind of, okay, really decipher, okay, what philosophies, what parts of what religions are really going to be applicable to me, for the rest of my life here. Okay, especially when it relates to Jupiter and Aquarius, especially when it relates to how certain philosophies or how certain religions govern how to fulfill your karmas with the rest of society. Okay, now Mars will go to Capricorn on February 26th to April 7th. So what that shows is Mars is exalted and it's with Saturn, which is Jupiter's sign lord, and it's in Saturn's own sign. So this is a great time. So if you wanted to start being disciplined in something, because Jupiter, like I said, it has the awareness of, okay, these are the certain karmas that we need to, Jupiter and Aquarius, it shows these are the karmas that we need to fulfill with everybody else. So this is a great time to start implementing some discipline, right? Because when Saturn's in Capricorn by itself, it's a great way of, okay, kind of doing day-to-day actions. But Mars, when it's in Capricorn, especially with Saturn itself, it's a great way to start getting going new actions, okay? So any changes you wanted to make, especially when it comes to doing stuff for other people, you'll be able to do like this. Any change in your life, actually, in general, that you've been kind of putting on hold, from February 26th to April 7th, I would challenge you to start it then, okay? You'll have very minimal problem, and if you really do still have a problem, I'd strongly suggest that it's just not meant to be, okay? That's that. So like I said, Mars is in Libra until December 5th, so the intuition and the changes are more on the discipline aspect of things. When it goes to Scorpio from December 5th to January 16th, it's more that intuition related to the karmas related to other people. Again, might be positive, might not. When it goes to Sagittarius, all your spiritual kind of wills and wants, or what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do kind of get exposed. Then you'll be able to see, okay, you know, what kind of tools can I incorporate in my life to be willing to do the things that I really need to do. Okay. And then when it goes to Capricorn, what are the things that I need to start doing in my life as far as external goes? And then Mars goes to Aquarius on April 7th, and now it's conjunct to Jupiter itself. So it's like that, energy of when Mars is in Scorpio, but luckily Mars is at the beginning of Aquarius and Jupiter is at the end of Aquarius, okay? And it's only here for like less than a week before Jupiter moves on into Pisces. So here it'll kind of show that, you know, slightly anything that you kind of may have overlooked during this whole transit, Mars will make sure that you're fully aware of it deep down, that you need to do these things related to other people before Jupiter kind of gets out into Pisces, okay? So that was kind of how the Mars transits very, very strongly impact the Jupiter into Aquarius transit as a whole. Like I said, this is dynamic, so it's constantly changing throughout the Jupiter transit into Aquarius. This is the most important, like I said, because of just all the factors of how it relates to either Saturn or Jupiter, mostly Jupiter. This is more important than the Sun, Venus, and Mercury. But throughout this whole transit, and I'll also make probably other videos related to other transits like Sun, Mercury, and Venus, especially since it's so strongly connected to Aquarius. But since it's so strongly connected to Jupiter being in Aquarius while Saturn's in Capricorn. But I'd strongly encourage you to kind of gain a little bit of a sense of understanding yourself of, okay, when, you know, Sun moves into Sagittarius, or when Venus goes into Sagittarius and it's retrograde, or when Mercury moves into Aquarius itself with Jupiter, you know, how all these energies impact either Jupiter or impact Saturn, which is going to impact Jupiter, you know, indirectly. Okay. So, yeah, I won't go too much into detail on the Sun, Mercury, and Venus. I'll just move into the fact that from the whole time when all these planets are transiting Sagittarius to Pisces, each individual one of them, when each of them move a placement, regardless of which one it is and where it goes, it's going to have a profound impact on this transit, okay? And maybe I'll explain some of these transits in specifics in other videos, okay? But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from my take on this Jupiter transit into Aquarius. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to let me know. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thank you.